All right, welcome to the 6th episode of 23 Real, 20 minutes of real talk with real producers in real estate, brought to you by Ohio Real Title and hosted by me, Rick Capretta. Today's guests are a father-son combination that run a multi-state Century 21 brokerage. As of last year, they were the number 6 Century 21 brokerage in Ohio. Their office is a Centurion Presidential Office and a Quality Service Pinnacle Award winner, which means 95% quality rating. And a year ago, they acquired another office in Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky, which together now between their 3 offices is a combined 70 agents. From a personal production standpoint, Seth is a 3-time Presidential Award winner and was the C21 individual unit leader in Ohio this past year. So I would like to welcome you guys, Seth and Kevin Young from Century 21 Premier Properties. How are you guys?
Good. Thanks for having us, Rick.
Thanks, Rick. Yeah, absolutely. I forgot to discuss this. We did a little good in the neighborhood here a couple weeks ago, and between you guys, us, and Mike, what's Mike's company? Give him a little quick shout out.
Progressive Radon.
Yeah, we were able to go ahead and make those donations to UH and to the, Village of Woodmere? Yeah, so that was pretty cool. So thanks for letting us be a part of that. So some of the reasons why I wanted to have a discussion with you guys is because there's a lot of unique scenarios with you guys. You guys work on the residential side. I'm sorry, on the residential side, you guys are my first broker that I've had on the show. So thank you for that. But again, you guys are also multi-office, multi-state. You guys have been in the home building business. And of course, being a father and son, that's also unique to the show so far. Prior to that, it sounds like Kevin's father was also a broker. Kevin was also a partner with his brother, and Seth is now a 3rd-generation realtor. So why don't you guys give me a quick walkthrough of the evolution of Premier Properties?
Well, I mean, in a start, Dad was doing a home building construction company back in the 90s, and late 1999, he wanted to start a real estate brokerage. So he partnered up with his brother and 2 other people, and they started a RE/MAX office. And that kind of progressed while doing the construction company and running the RE/MAX office morphed into me graduating college, coming into the construction company, and then transitioning my uncle into working with his wife in real estate, and us kind of morphing RE/MAX into a Century 21. And now today it's been 9 years?
Yeah, I think it'll be 9 years.
9 years. Yeah, 9 years we've been a Century 21 this coming July, and been partners since I pretty much graduated college. It's going on, I don't know, 17 years. That's depressing. Anyway, I mean, great. It's lovely. It's wonderful.
Yeah, 20 years since college graduation. Oh.
So that's kind of the progression of it. And in all that, we've grown from our office. We moved from above a little office to we built this building and developed it and put our offices here in Pepper Pike off of Lander Circle and Pine Tree, and been rocking and rolling ever since.
Absolutely. As far as the family aspect, how does that work with you guys? I mean, I know if my father and I were in business together, it would be mostly good, but he's still my dad and I'm still his smart Alex son. So how does that work for you guys?
We kind of try and keep it somewhat separate. When we do holiday time or family time, we try not to talk about business. Obviously, my brother and sister-in-law are also in real estate, so our family get-togethers and my nephews, I guess now. So we pretty much have rules that we eat, like everybody likes to cook and drink, so we keep real estate out of it during the family time, and it's worked out pretty well. Seth and I have had pretty much understandings on succession. I think one of the biggest things in a family business is having an agreement up front how succession is going to happen. I had a problem when I worked with my father with that, and so I learned a lot from it. But it's been, generally speaking, it's pretty good. We have our moments, but all in all, we both have our strengths, and we learn a lot from each other.
Yeah.
I had a moment this week.
I didn't reference that.
Rebecca over there. It's like, give me a smile. It's like, I had my coronavirus freak out moment this week.
It's okay. This is part of life right now, so it happens. So, all right, cool. On the commercial side, and also being a landlord, which you guys just mentioned, obviously you guys own the building that you're doing this in right now. Discuss how you got onto the property or onto the commercial side, and then particularly owning different properties and renting those out.
I actually grew up in commercial. My father was a broker and had a commercial construction company and developed real estate. So when I graduated college, I went directly working for him, and we did commercial construction and development. And over the years, pretty much I did commercial exclusively. Ironically, when I got my broker's license, I used commercial transactions, not residential ones.
Okay.
And I do not sell currently. I don't sell homes from that perspective. I only do commercial. So I grew up in it. I've done a lot of it. The building that we are housed in Pepper Pike, as Seth mentioned, I bought the land, we developed it, we put it together, we built it, and it's a multi-tenant building. So we're experiencing a lot of interesting situations from we're a tenant here as well as being a landlord. And we're experiencing and having to deal with tenants that have been closed down. We have a beauty salon. We have Pure Bar, which is a obviously facility that's still closed. And it's just been a real challenge for our tenants and for us and for the building. Luckily, in this particular property, we have a small bank. And when we called them and asked for assistance, they were very quick to respond and give us some assistance in working with us, where I have a shopping center in Columbus. We have a big lender, not as easy to work with.
Right. Well, that's huge, because without that right now, at least with the location right now, that could be horrible. With Pure Bar, are they considered a gym? Are they going to be able to come back at the end of the month?
Thank goodness, DeWine, I believe yesterday, just said that gyms will be opening. And so at least they have a date. And they fall into that category, and they're ready to, I think, rock and roll and get reopened. Obviously, time will tell with the new guidelines and rules what it's going to mean for business for everybody.
Right.
And, the fact that businesses are opening and salons are opening today does not mean that their business bottom line is going to change immediately. It's going to take time. This is not a short-term situation.
Absolutely. My parents own a beauty salon, and just trying to figure out how the X's and O's are going to work. It's not going to be it's not going to be the way it was, but I also know they're booked out through like June already. So that probably wouldn't be the normal situation. Happy I got to my dentist already since this thing ended, because I don't think anyone's going to be able to get in to see those guys anytime soon.
Well, I think it's a part of it also is the protocols you put in place. And also everyone has to be realistic that to have safety, to have security, and to have the cleaning comfort of what people need, there's a cost associated with it. So I know a lot of people are adding surcharges onto their businesses for dealing with that.
Part of life right now, unfortunately.
Exactly.
So, all right, let's go back to running a brokerage for you guys right now. Who handles what over there for you guys at C21 Premier Properties?
He does it all.
If you ask Seth, he does it all.
He does it all.
Seth, obviously, because he's in the trenches and sells and knows a lot of the agents and has to deal with them in his transactions. He is very much involved in training our agents, onboarding, and helping them learn not only real estate, but the Century 21 system, which has been phenomenal for us and for our agents. We also, Seth runs our relocation department, which has been very successful for us, and I'll let him talk further about that. But I tend to look at the financial side of it. I'm a broker, so obviously to whatever extent a broker is in Ohio, I'm responsible for all the agents from their actions in that respect. And so we try and keep education forefront for making sure that all of our agents, whether new or old or experienced or whatever their experience is, that they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, growing the relocation department was kind of a passion of mine. Rebecca, who helps me run the day-to-day of it, but working with all the relocation management companies and really getting into the nitty-gritty of that has taken years. I got my CRP, which is Certified Relocation Professional designation, and it just kind of has morphed and progressed with that. Because what happens is as you grow that department, you need to get involved with Cardis and other relocation companies and community agents. And not everyone wants to do relocation. Not everyone is able to do relocation.
Right.
So deal with that. And especially with what's going on in the world with coronavirus, talking to the agents, being in front of them and having our day-to-day is really important. And I spend a lot of my time doing that. You've been on our Zoom calls, we have them weekly, and give as much transparent information as we can. What we know and we don't know.
Yeah. And you guys, obviously, because you guys have been nice enough to allow me to pretty much be on at least your weekly calls, as far as I'm concerned. Not everybody's been doing that. Not all brokerages have. And I think you guys are in the minority. I have a couple other that do, but many, from what I'm understanding, are not having these communications, and certainly not, the frequency of which you guys are having them. So that's obviously gone pretty well, but you guys have also had some surprise guests, which has been pretty impressive as far as I'm concerned. So why don't you guys share a little bit about that?
One of the things that I pride myself on is I go to all the Century 21 conventions, the leadership, and all the specialty global events they have. And I really try and get to know all the leaders that we work with. So we've been lucky to have President and CEO of Century 21, Mike Mueller's been on one of our Zoom calls. And then we've had a happy hour he popped into. We've had the head of Business Momentum, which is commercial relocation, Randy and Colin have been joined us. We've had our local and regional people, Kyler and PJ, they've popped in. So I've been really lucky that the Century 21 support from the top, they give you their cell number to you, and they're literally willing to do whatever. We've had to adjust our times a little bit, but our Zoom calls are every Wednesday, either 2 or 4 o'clock, depending on what special guests we can get to come in. They talk and add some really cool information insight about the economists from Realogy and all those other things. Two, they just answer a few questions and kind of hang out and say hi. But the support has helped me a lot by just having people to bounce ideas off of and talk to.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, not too many people have access all the way up the chain. So I can pretty much say now that, the CEO of C21 and I are now, best buds because we've been on a Zoom call and a happy hour together. So maybe he'll be next on the show.
Absolutely. I'll send you his info.
All right. So also what I wanted to talk about, which I didn't mention to you guys, was your love of sailing. So why don't you guys talk a little bit about some of the competitions you guys, well, I don't know what's going on this year, how that's going to be affected with what's going on, but tell me a little bit about how you guys got your passion for sailing and what you guys really do with that.
I'll start it. Believe it or not, when actually my wife was pregnant with Seth, I had this crazy idea to build a sailboat. And so I started building a sailboat out of wood. It was at that time a cruising boat, not a racing boat. I found out very quickly that, because I hadn't sailed at that point, that I really didn't like cruising, and I liked racing and fast boats. So I sold that, and every boat I've had since then has traditionally been quicker and quicker. And then Seth got into it, and I'll let him tell you his side or his story about it, because he's far surpassed me in his sailing abilities.
I just started younger, so I've had more time to work on it. It's like everything. I started when I was a young kid, 6 or 7, went to kind of summer camp type day camp sailing and learning, and then it grew into junior racing circuits around the areas, and then grew into I chose my college because I wanted to go sailing. So raced at collegiate top level in college, and some of the boats we've done, we've had the pleasure to go sail professionals and go to world championships and national championships and all kinds of other things. So today I'm lucky. I get to race sailboats with my father and our friends and have fun. Well, this summer might be a little different, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah, who knows?
It's a non-contact sport, so as of yesterday we can do that.
It's definitely non-contact. Well, it's supposed to be non-contact, but if you have contact, it's between boats, not people.
You gotta keep your feet and hands out of the way when you hit with boats. But it's just fun. It's for me, it really takes me away from my day-to-day details and grind of life. And because racing is kind of a focused sport, we can get every ounce of speed you can out of the boat. No cell phones, keep my mind focused on that, and I get to kind of clear my head.
Nice. And I know nothing about this because I've asked you guys before. How many crew members are in a boat, and can you stay socially distanced?
Well, it depends on the size of the boat.
The answer is our current boat is a 32-footer.
Okay.
And we have a crew of normally 8.
Okay.
And most of the time I steer the boat, so I'm in the back of the boat, and then you spread people out along the boat. But to be competitive, typically you want people on the rail, the side of the boat, heeling. When the boat heels some from the sails and the wind, people on the side of the boat helps flatten it out. And normally they're very tight on the rail, which means they're pretty much shoulder to shoulder.
Right.
With social distancing, either the rules have to change that you're spread out or not hiking as much. And as long as you set the rules and they're the same rules for all the boats,
right,
it really doesn't make that much difference.
I mean, you guys are going pretty quick. You're creating your own wind, and there is wind. Hopefully it wouldn't matter so much out on the water going as quick as you guys are, but who knows?
Yeah. I'm not real concerned about it, but we'll see how it works. Part of the problem is, when you're in the dock, you got to prep the sails, get things ready, get the boat rigged with ropes and lines. So, there's got to be a certain amount of somewhat closeness, but again, there, like everything else, you can work around that.
Of course. Going back to, work, other than acquiring, which you guys just did last year, and that seems like it's been a really good mesh of offices, especially from being on the Zoom calls. Other than acquiring offices, what's been really the most effective way or the most challenging way or challenging thing about getting new agents to come work at your office or any office?
I'll let Seth take that one.
It's a challenge of day-to-day life. Getting agents to come to your office or get in the business in general is always a challenge for any office, any brokerage. For us, it's really focusing on what the most important thing about our growth and how we can get you to produce more, and more importantly, accomplish your goals. So the hardest part for us is really getting through the agent, because we don't take everybody. We try and be selective of agents that want to be and grow in the environment that we have and work on their own business. So for us, it's really finding out what their main goal is and how they want to grow.
Right.
And then we kind of create a semi-custom plan to help them do it. Some people work full-time jobs and need time on nights and weekends. That's fine. Everyone in our industry talks about a part-time versus full-time agent. Full-time doesn't necessarily mean 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Full-time can mean nights and weekends while you're doing something else and still be a professional and an expert in your industry. And we try and grow that way.
To me, the most important thing is, again, clearly being the broker and having responsibility. I want our agents to recognize and for them to pass on that they're professionals. This is not a job that is just you walk in, you do it for an hour, and you're going to make $100,000. It doesn't work that way. You have to work hard at it. You have to know your market. You have to understand and be communicative with the clients. In particular, right now with the virus and everything going on, sellers are nervous about having people in their houses. Buyers are nervous about going into houses. There's protocol that can be set up and things to make people more comfortable. And it's very, very important to have open communication. We also want to make sure that all of our agents understand real estate law and what they are supposed to do and can do and can't do.
Right.
Their fiduciary responsibilities. It's very, very important in understanding that, knowing what you're allowed to do or allowed to say and not allowed to say. You're there to represent your client. And ultimately, that's what we want to train people to do. And between us, Seth, and the Century 21 programs, we have great, great tools to do that.
Nice. Well, one last question I'll ask you guys, and then you can also take a look at their social media, which I just put up on the screen if you want to find them out on the web to check out their listings or agents, and also Facebook and Instagram. But if you're going to leave the listeners here with one parting thought or one thing you'd want them to take away from this, what would that be?
Go for it.
I think most important is what we're going through right now is very, very challenging. But the one thing I've seen in the 45 years I've been in real estate is that no matter what's going on, there is still business to be had. You can buy, people are going to buy and sell houses. People are going to rent commercial space. People are going to buy and sell commercial buildings. So the most important thing from my perspective is keep a positive attitude. Make sure if you don't have them, call us. If you need help with anything, we are around to answer questions for our agents or anybody else. The key is facilitate the deal, make it happen. And there's deals to be had and there's money to be made this year. So you've got to stay focused and keep working.
I agree. Keep on pushing. So Seth and Kevin Young of Century 21 Premier Properties, I want to thank you guys for all your time today. Thanks for being a client. I forgot to ask, how long have you guys worked with Ohio Real Title?
Oh, wow.
Roughly.
15 years.
So kind of from around the start?
Right around the start, yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you guys for being great clients. And again, thank you guys for your time today.
And I'd like to close with you guys. It's been great to work with.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything, and thanks for having us.
You're a great partner.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, Rick. Have a good one.
Take care. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
All right.